because it's like, oh my, we're back again.
Hello,
Tomfoolery is not even over yet.
There's a little too much tomfoolery going on right now. So I'm like, every time I tease Brad, he acts like it's like
Oh my.
it's asymmetric.
Well, that's just part of the charm of it. It's just an act.
I get plenty back from you, dude. And I supply a lot of material for you to tease me about. It's not even, I don't even have to try.
Right?
What are you doing that's making you concentrate?
I'm just seeing what silly options I have available to me. It is so it's more tomfoolery. And so we don't need to do that because this here, gentlemen and the ladies, if you're present, on the 13th of April 2024 is a working session.
And what's a working session?
Now we're ready to get to work. Now that we've got all that under the bridge.
Well, I have something to start the day off that's confidence building.
Oh,
So there are a few non-silly physicists in the world
oh,
who are also public intellectuals. There are a lot of silly ones. As a matter of fact, most of them. Brian Greene and Michio Kaku and who's the black guy? I don't know why these aren't coming to me. Anyway, I tend to pay attention to basically three people. I love listening to what's her name?
the German.
The German chick, right? Why is it not gonna come? Why is that? Why can't I do this? All right. I listened to Gerhard de Hooft, who's not exactly where he's from. I can't remember if it's northwest Europe, and Neil Turok, who's from South Africa. And so Neil Turok runs the Perimeter Institute, which is sort of like in physics how I view David Reich's work in genetics. It's like it's semi outside the bullshit academy system.
Oh my.
You know? Or the same thing with what's the heritage? No, what's the group that Charles Murray and
Okay.
All the conservative theory. I mean, the place I would love to be someday. I've got a friend who works there, which I'm very impressed. He's young, very very impressive. So there are these places that are outside the academic bullshit arena, and they actually are worth listening to, right?
Yes.
And in physics, the Perimeter Institute is one of those places. And he came out with a little interview that I just saw this morning. I don't know how old it is. How old is this interview? It might
One thing that I find particularly
4 days ago. All right. And it's an interview with some young, cute chick named Lauren Hayward, who I've never heard of before. But she works at Perimeter as well.
Is she single?
I don't know. And I can't
just sorry, Kurt.
You're messing with me. Like I said, it's reciprocal, this
just a little bit.
Jesus. So but she's cute. I mean, I'm into nerdy chicks. Nerdy chicks and artsy chicks.
Is it Sabine Hossenfelder?
Yes, Sabina, yes. The German, Sabina, so you pronounce the E.
Yes.
Sabina Hossenfelder, yeah. So I like her because she's one of the people that's critical of the non-science in physics, right?
Well, what's interesting about her, I watched that video that you posted of hers, which is how she got her head bloodied on the wall of physics in official science, or and so I resonated that with my experience in medicine. It's like, okay, we are in
I figured you'd like that one. I had a more peaceable version of it because I recognized young when I was in college that this was no place for anybody who didn't want to suck dick for money, to put it bluntly, because that's what they're making you do,
That's,
suck dick for money. And I just am not, that's just not
that
my,
doesn't, that doesn't work
that,
for me.
that doesn't work for me. I'll be fine on my own, thank you very much. So the reason I didn't go to the academy is because I understood this. So I didn't get bloodied like you did or Sabina did, because I never held on to any illusions that these people were smarter than I was, to be honest with you, because
We
as we
understand.
discussed yesterday, I'm a profoundly arrogant prick. And
Self-aware of it too. Conscientiously so.
so any event, so you get these, so you get Sabina and Gerhard Hooft, which I love listening to him. He's adorable, right? And he's actually got that German humility. I got it. Where is he from? I can't remember where he's from. Gerhard Hooft. He is from. He's Dutch, just Netherlands. Yeah, so he's got the. Oh, this is a much younger picture. He's cuter now. Um, he's a cute little, beard, balding. Uh, talks like this, with it. He's like, he's like a comic, the very respectable comic book version of a German intellectual from the 1800s. I mean, I just adore him. Anyway, he's really honest and practical. And anyway, so I was listening to this article, and I actually loved it. Loved Neil Turok's speech interview so much. I went and grabbed I used one. I used what did I used one of the AIs to grab um, the transcript, to make a transcript of it, because there's just so many choice pieces that just, I mean, it's like we could start our chapters with quotes from him
Oh, I like
this book. I mean, it's that good, because what he said, he's basically saying is, he's explaining why physics went wrong, and he's not blaming people. He's saying they did what comes naturally.
That's
But
right.
all the evidence is pointing to it's very, very simple universe out there.
It's simple.
It's very simple, and then we've got it down to where it's like it's just dumb,
Bare bones.
bare bones. The piece he hinted at that I thought was the only thing that I didn't expect that was interesting. In other words, I like that we have someone who's in a position, was one of the best people on the planet, that has the broadest overview of the state of physics, what's wrong with it, and where the solutions are emerging. Right, that's how I view him, and have him say, "Geez, guys, turns out you're right." Right, and so I get to quote that and bring that in there as legitimacy. So I found that very comforting, because that work on physics was quite difficult. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it took us a couple of years. I mean, it took me a couple. I probably dragged you through it, but it took me a couple of years of hard work to get the fix done, even though it was your idea that we start there. Well, it was your idea, or I asked you, and you said yes. I don't remember. I can't remember. I can't any longer distinguish your thoughts from mine.
No, we are the same thinker.
So anyway, it was so inspiring this morning that and I'm just going through and I'm just going to clip out all these little bits. But he's basically saying he gives all these examples of, here's why the people thought it was more complicated because of Maxwell
Mm.
and Dirac and Einstein. They imply, which is interesting, Maxwell doesn't imply weird complexity. Dirac and Einstein do imply weird causality. And then by the time you get into who's the other guy? Bohr, Neil
Yep.
Bohr. He's like, just do math, just do the math, which is basically don't do physics anymore, don't theorize anymore, right? I mean, now you've thrown this thing off into Never Land, from which the physics didn't come back, and so he covers, well, we got lost in this particle stuff, right? And it turns out that the standard model is all there is, and It's actually way simpler, right? Which is again why I'm kind of fond of who's this crazy guy, the guy who everybody thinks is crazy but isn't, who lives over in East Asia. Anyway, I'm going through his work and thinking I'm looking for all the pseudoscientists because that's how I work, right? I mean, I'm a disciplined thinker. I mean, I think you can attest to. I mean,
yeah.
I'm exhaustive, right, when I go through something. So I'm going through all the fringes to try to find out what kind of fringe stuff is out in the electric universe and all this other crap, right? And I find this guy, and I'm like, wait a minute, I think he's right. And he's outside the academy too. And it's like you can't do real work in the academy, which is one of our complaints. I couldn't do my work in the academy. I'd be
No.
fired for saying like 1/1000th of what I say. So anyway, that was my inspiration for today. Is I'll share that video,
Yeah.
and then I'll share some quotes. But I really found a lot of confirmation of our work, and it's really simple out there. And there and the other piece I like, because we do limits-based reasoning, right? That's what we do. We say, what's the limit, and what's the limit, and that's where decidability lies, right? Decidability is at the limit, and so so what I found interesting is he used a bunch of limits in his examples, like the black hole being a limit, the and the 0 point. He didn't use this term, but the 0 point energy of the universe being a limit, and there was a couple others in there, and I'm like, okay, well, we're looking pretty good. We're looking pretty good now, and I'll tell you why. I'm sorry if I'm covering this, but it's probably important. There's people in the audience who want to know that they don't have to just assume I'm right, right? I mean, right? You know what I mean? Right. And so what I found comforting was that we have it's I don't know how to describe it. It was just really comforting to get a validation from somebody and to know that not only are we seeing the correct answer, but that there are people in physics who are
That's right.
That
That's a convergence.
right. And then of course my observation was, why did people like me see it earlier? And the reason is, if you start in economics, mathiness becomes a really obvious problem. And it doesn't become an obvious problem in physics. Because you can keep playing with the math because you don't have anything to really test it against.
So you're like free association, right?
Yeah, I mean
and then invent something to make it make sense.
Exactly. Invent variables. Anyway, so that was my cheerful inspiration of the day. All right. The second thing is, if I got to go back to our work, we are working on embodiment.
Yes.
Right. So we've reorganized the pitch a little bit so that we feel really good.
Yes.
I stuck the chapter into both Claude and ChatGPT for whatever it is, the advanced one.
Yes.
I subscribe to the advanced ones. They've got a new service out that lets you pick from all of them and I'm
Really?
like, yeah,
Hmm.
and pick each one. I might subscribe to that one because that gets into the minor ones, like the offset ones I'm trying to test. Every other one other than Claude and GPT-4 or Claude or ChatGPT, every one of them, I mean, the one they published yesterday, they're so proud of. He just hallucinates like hell, right? I mean, it just made stuff up and it sounded believable. So one of the tests I use is tell me who is the philosopher and social scientist Kurt Doolittle, and what does the work represent, or whatever the theories.
Right.
And most of them are pretty accurate, but they don't hallucinate, they fill in with presumptions, because I would expect that, right? They would say, well, they overgeneralize my work, but they're pretty good. But most of these things, they just hallucinate all stuff. And the one I worked with yesterday, I was rolling because it was making up all these books I'd published.
Oh my.
I'm like, I've published 3 books, right? And they don't even have my name on them, I don't think, right? Their real name. So anyway, they're really weird. But anyway, this seems pretty good. But anyway, it came back with this chapter presents a comprehensive view of how living organisms, humans, particularly humans, perceive, process, and interact with their environment to maintain homeostasis and ensure their survival. The main points can be summarized as follows. And there's 10 points, which is, if you want me to go through them, I think it's useful for the audience.
Sure.
Everything in the universe survives through cooperation and evolutionary computation. Homeostasis is the primary goal of living organizations, maintaining stable internal conditions. The body is a hierarchy of stable relationships between various biological components, which means they're cooperating. Sensory perception allows organisms to detect changes in environment and internal states. Sensory information is processed and integrated by the nervous system to create coherent representations. Various cognitive faculties, such as, there's a long list here, work together to guide the behavior. Motor functions execute actions in response to sensory and cognitive information. Intelligence has the capacity to achieve goals through multiple means. Consciousness emerges from the interaction of various memory and cognitive processes. And Vitruvianism suggests that human measurements are commensurable, allowing for shared understanding. And then it goes through and summarizes it in 5 chapters, 5 paragraphs of it. Okay, if it can understand that, we're doing pretty good. I mean, I just view it as check my work.
Yeah.
Right? Does this make sense to you?
Yes.
And it makes sense. So we're doing pretty good here, boss.
Yes, sir.
Now,
are you ready to get to work?
I wonder why you're giving me that look. I'm like, what is he? He's trying to tell me to shut up.
This is the signal.
Is that no?
Are we going to work? I was going to get up. I was
your-
looking for a Sharpie and I was going to do this one. It should say work. Are we going to work?
God damn it.
Just asking for a friend.
Trying to.
I love you, Kurt. Have I told you that today?
No. Now you have. All right. Oh, anyway.
Shake it off, man. Shake it off.
I was trying to take context because it's hard after 5 days in between to restart the context. Yes. So I was trying to restart the context.
You're reloading. Right. That's good.
And I wanted to do so in a positive light, right?
In a context. I like that. And it is. We're making great progress, and even the AIs can keep up.
Yeah, and they get it.
That means it's unambiguous.
Yeah, and they're not. It's pretty. It gets the point across. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. All right. So.
I was getting to share a screen.
No, I'm going to share the screen because you told me to.
Oh my! Merely suggested it.
Look how much you've been dishing today. You've been dishing it out today.
Mustache wax, man. I got the extra strong version of it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not playing anymore.
Wow. So Brad's in a very good mood lately. Did you? It's not because you ran over some small children or something.
Oh my!
I said that to Cindy Gollum. So I've ever said that to Cindy Gollum. Cindy, you're in a good mood this morning. You run over any small children on the way in?
Oh, you got this Zoom feature. I see this. I see your webcam, and I see you have a Zoom feature that you have. So you're zoomed in.
Where do you see that?
It's on the screen.
Did I share the wrong screen?
So I'm seeing the post. I'm seeing your Twitter feed.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
I know. There's a reason for why I'm telling you what I'm telling you.
You're.
Oh my.
New share.
Wait.
Oh, I see. It's the desktops are numbered in the opposite order. I see.
counterintuitive model, huh?
Well, I can't control it. That does this.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's really weird. You have can you see
There
the
you go. Now we're
so
on track.
so just so everybody knows, it's actually pretty hard to get 3 monitors on a Mac server, right? It's not like PCs, Windows PCs, where you just stuff in extra graphics cards and you can hook up like this tree, right?
That's
All right.
Brandon.
You basically get 2 ports that are high speed, it's called Thunderbolt, and then you get the HDMI port. And I had a hell of a time getting the HDMI port to work. The second thing that happens is the order of the screens depends on which order you turn the monitors on. Why should it matter which order I turn the fucking monitors on? so sometimes so if I don't do it, and there's a bunch of stuff that drives me nuts, right? However, despite that, I have my 3 monitors. So I have you over here on the left, and that's where I have all my videos. I have the work session here and the reference session there. I'm good. Anyway, so you did see, yeah, that little window you saw that's what controls the camera.
Yeah, but it has a little zoom feature on
Yeah, it
it.
allows me to, that's why I made my head smaller.
Oh, that's how you did it.
Yeah, I made my head small. I didn't make it as small,
Not as small as my little
as
head.
small
Look
as
at that.
your head.
Tiny. I have a
See,
beard that makes it look a little bigger, but
I
yeah.
could try to get down to your size somewhere in there.
Oh.
There we go.
All right. Now let's work.
All right, let's work. All right. So, I did prep for today,
Excellent.
prepped at the high level. I didn't go down into this. So we start out we're going to have some introduction to the chapter here. All right. And we're going to start with a quote like we're going to do in everything. And then we're going to get into the chapter. And then we're going to go through point by point, which is basically we're writing a proof, right? Homeostasis, then measurement,
Yeah.
then systems of measurement,
Right.
then the synthesis of it, of those measurements, and then the faculties, which I suppose this has to do with what do we do with?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a higher order processing.
Yeah. So what do we do with the synthesis? Was it stated here? Okay, so making things relative. Yeah, you're making this. What does this mean? Help me phrase this. Making stimuli
Ah,
relative.
I would use relevant.
Yeah, okay, let's do this. Relative to the body.
Okay.
Fine. Or that's
Yeah.
relevant. Right?
Yeah.
The effective faculties. I feel like
It's like a state function, right? So if you go to this perceptual faculties. Yeah. There's these are like definitions of states on the first and the second.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third is related to state. But then you get to maintenance of state, which is the affective. There's like a maintenance of state function. There's
Yeah.
identification of state and then maintenance of preferred state.
Yes, I think that's right. Yeah, you're smarter than you look.
Thank God.
Yeah. Yeah, then there's this one too, right? So you're right. You know, I don't care what I think you're pretty amazing. I don't care what other people say about you.
Thank you.
So this is state, and then he says regulation of state.
Yeah.
Or what to do with state.
It's like it's
Oh, it's what to do with state. So this is what to do with those senses, what to do with that organization, what to do with,
preferred state, right?
what to do
So
with
state wayfinding function.
what to do in response to state.
I like that. That first one. So if you go back to where you just wrote what to do in response to state,
Yeah.
right? There's an internal, that's the first part, and then there's an external state function relationship that you're describing in the second part.
Which is the second part. You mean this?
That one.
Yeah, exactly. So this is internal, right?
Yeah. Well, you have it in there in the internal contextual evaluation. There you go. You could put that, copy that one for external state down below. Yes. Which I know you already planned because you highlighted it. That's just me
Well, great minds think alike.
arcing ahead. I'm just trying to getting another point on Brandon. Put external state there. Thank you. That's beautiful. Social contextualization, right?
Mhm.
So there's personal contextualization and social contextualization, state functions.
So you want to do that is that way? Social.
It's just a suggestion.
No, I like capturing it. You can always, it's always better to capture something now and then say, well, let's filter it or change it later. Personal. Okay. This is right.
It's gorgeous. Geometric in its simplicity.
Okay. There's something here. Yeah, we got this right. Is that right? I don't know.
What's the question?
Well, this summary looks like it needs to exist.
Yes,
That's faculties, right? The result of faculties is models.
right. And then modals.
Is that the same or is that not? I don't think I can do it. Why isn't this want to give me this? Oh, no, because it's not. It's not.
It's not what?
Well, it's a property of faculties. All right, so I'm missing something. It's a summary of faculties, right?
Is that, you prefer that to model?
Oh, I see, model. I could say models, which is a summary of faculties,
Yes.
right? Let's do that.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, I had it there.
Yeah, you did.
This feels like it needs. Feels like it needs a summary.
So this, where you say consequential? Okay. I see. I can work with that.
See, this doesn't have numbering. This has a numbering.
Okay.
I don't
So
have,
that needs to lose its number.
does it?
Well, I don't know. I'm like,
I think it's consistent,
it needs an introductory paragraph.
right? It needs an
At
introduction.
least. Right?
So this is something to do with. Right, no. What is it? What is it up here? Introduction. This is. We.
Right?
Right, and then there's. This here. Oh, damn it.
Yes. Yeah. Three's a go.
That's pretty.
Nice. Almost. There you go.
the same thing here.
Yeah. Hmm. I'm starting to get nervous now. I want you to update. Thank you. Now, there's a term that I would use there before the motor. So we have embodiment, and then we have enactment.
Yes. It's beautiful. No, you're good.
I'm worth every penny.
I thought you were the one that was donating to the Institute.
Hmm. Like I say,
So where do we start out with embodiment? We start
oh,
out here.
way up there.
So let's make it more obvious than that.
Yes. This embodiment goes to the processing of the information, right?
Yeah,
Embodiment, then information processing to maintain states.
so this is described. So, okay, so there's a third thing here then.
Where?
No, I guess it's the same.
But interesting, it's like this. Okay, so you have I would like to discuss it briefly, which is you have embodiment
Yep,
in an environment. Okay, so what we have is incorporation of information.
yes.
So I would call it incorporation. And then we have enactment in that environment, right?
What was the last one?
Now I put incorporation between that and enactment.
Like,
In a recursive loop, right?
yeah, I think there's there's the equivalent of thinking here.
That's incorporation. Oh, so it would be between incorporation and
Well, this
reflection. It's a reflection. You incorporate the information and then you reflect on that information before you enact.
well, there's two different parts to that. You actually do act and you calculate the act. Right? In other words, you calculate the act. These two things are done simultaneously. Actually, no. Corporation embodiment isn't. I use the word synthesis here.
Yeah.
So this is prediction.
Yes.
And then there's consideration.
So I will put an enactment as the last step because it's what I do, as separated from what I predict
All right, I got it.
after consideration, right?
I got it. Oh, yeah. Well, that's not how it looks down here, though. This is lower faculties. And then there's processing.
Hmm.
And then there's consideration of it. And then you release the action.
Okay. So maybe
So you can categorize all this as enactment,
it's good.
huh?
It's either way is fine. Because you're having a
Well, the reason is I'm trying to maintain
yeah,
the internal processes that produce the outputs,
yes,
right? And so you figure this stuff out
yes,
subconsciously before you don't
that's
have
right.
to think about raising your arm. It's done, right? If you want to swing the golf club, why did I pick that as a freaking example? Probably because it frustrates me. If you want to swing the golf club consistently, you actually don't think about it.
Right. That's right.
And then you think about things. And then you have, and this is actually after, yeah, that's an and. Intelligence amplifies it.
Right.
And then we just explain. Is even this true? This internal process. I mean, we don't get to the consciousness process to here.
Okay.
This is where the conscious process happens. So I think the embodiment's right. Not the embodiment, the what do you call it?
Motor enactment.
We
Right.
need synthesis in here somewhere.
Okay.
That's all there. It's here. Here. Let's do low level.
Oh, that's it right there.
Well,
Enactment.
right. So we're trying to get We do embodiment, synthesis, enactment,
That's
which is before, during, and after.
right.
So,
This
so
is
where does synthesis?
synthesis is sensory.
Is it? I don't think so.
You think it's further down there?
Yeah, because we got embodiment. We've got to get to where.
That's
Oh, here it is, right here.
yeah.
What'd you call it? Integration?
No,
Call it something.
incorporation.
Integration.
But it's interesting because you're taking in sensory information and incorporating it by changing your state.
I like integration.
Okay.
Yes. I think synthesis is a good abstract. What is the third term?
Enactment.
All right, that's what we want.
I would put continuously recursive inside there somewhere after it, so that it's clear that this is a loop. This is a OODA loop. Now, just for formatting, I would separate. I prefer the loop to be on one line and indented, if you can do it.
I just need you to tell me what to do. I don't understand.
Put the cursor right before the E and hit return and then indent it. There you go. This makes it simpler to look at.
Yes. I put this up here.
What are you gonna do? Hmm. Hmm. Do we have that under synthesis?
Sorry, I did pulled it
Oh,
from.
see, I can't tell. You're way ahead of me. I'm carefully watching the cursor for you to do something mischievous.
Well,
It's a good tool to maintain my focus.
is that what it is?
It's yeah, because it's like if I don't pay attention to the foolishness, I look sleepy.
I like to
I
put
don't want to. I don't want the audience to know.
that you're
I'm trying to hide that from them. I like the way this is panning out. Does that need a period after it?
well,
That embodiment, synthesis, and enactment, does it need a period?
no. For Christ's sake.
Oh my. I'm practicing Brandon's other trick now,
What
which
is
is
that?
trying to predict what Kurt's going to do next.
Mhm.
Sharpening my wits. Yep.
We do good work.
Wait, so this is interesting. So go to your intelligence part because that's how fast the OODA loop's transmitting, right?
It's two dimensions.
We call it amplification. It's just processing speed, right?
There's two factors. It's
Hmm.
actually friction. It shows up as there's three. Let's talk about let's just make some notes here. So there's A is volume
Right?
of matter, brain matter, of gray matter. B is conductivity,
Yep.
white matter. C is environmental supply of both. And D, oh, D is actually it's this way. C is the conductivity and the, how do I say this? When your brain is growing together,
Yes.
when you're in utero and in your first 2 years especially, neurons are being baited to grow into different areas, and sometimes they can grow very far and in large numbers, and sometimes they don't. So is that the volume and distance and volume of gray matter?
It's interconnectivity.
To connect.
Yeah.
And
It's gray matter to gray matter through white matter. How about that?
so
It's gray matter to gray matter through white matter.
the fuck? Environmental supply of resources,
Right?
both. Those are the four.
It's three. Okay. Oh,
You gotta have a big brain. You have to have it connected, right? And this is
I
actually,
think, yeah.
and then it's how,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And it's really these two. It's really two groups, uh, CD. So it's
Oh,
actually.
wait.
Go ahead.
Both should be gray matter and white matter, right? Because both represents is an ambiguous term in my mind because there's three things listed there.
You're going to be a gray matter. I don't understand what you're saying, boss.
Resources to both what and what.
Oh,
Thank you.
so mean, that's a reductive because, I mean, I just saw that piece today with how many freaking genes are involved in this. It surprises me that, I know that we have about 1,000 genes that we know are related to intelligence.
Right.
But I mean, just the fucking end of
Right.
just the end of the white matter, trying to find where it's supposed to go in the brain. There's like 32 molecules that it uses to figure out where the hell to. I mean, it's insanely complicated. And but if you want to get down to, there's really the things that show up are they're correcting me, the environment, there's connectivity, white matter. There's probably, this is the sexual differences is.
Yep.
Lateral
Yeah.
versus longitudinal.
Yep. Well, organizational bias, right?
Bias, which is the sex differences.
Yes.
And this is important. And right, then you get the basic stuff of, look, you got the volume, you've got the connectivity, you've got so this is the organization, this is a reason, but then you got this problem of quality.
That's right.
It's more like quantity. Is it quantity? I don't know. There's definitely a quality problem. And so, when you talk to people who are dim, when there's it's probably not just 1,000, there's probably 2,000 genes that affect, your different parts of your brain.
Yes.
And so plus you have the fact that in utero and early development is probabilistic, not deterministic.
Yes.
And then you add the fact that it's environmentally conditional.
Yes.
Right. And so you have a lot of things that can go that cause either variation, which isn't bad, right, or defect, which is.
Yes.
Right. And so it's one of those, it's one of those so all happy families are the same. Well, anticorrelative problems. It's like lots of things have to go right.
That's right.
Right. But there's a lot of variability in what can go right. But if anything goes wrong, it adds up negatively.
Very fast.
So that's basically. So what were we trying to achieve there? Because there's this is really the so there's two dimensions to this. So there's two dimensions, and that gives us, and so this gives us, therefore, that gives us what? That gives us quality and quantity. Should the quantity should equal speed. And the next problem.
Yeah, processing speed.
The next problem we have is breadth, speed, and breadth. Right.
Okay.
And I'm using this because this is a tree problem in computer science, right? We understand with painful detail the math of navigating trees, right? And so organization of your brain is somewhat it's a network, which is roughly a tree problem squared.
Right.
And then you have the second thing is permutations.
Be definitive.
Right?
Ah,
Right. And so your intuition and this your reason. And so this is the problem of this is your is working on top of Q and Q. So when we say someone's intelligent, some people come up with the right answer fast, right? That's great. But you can generally get there through repetition,
yes.
right? You can't get to permutation very easily through repetition. You have to have good hardware.
Right.
So intelligence is generally the capacity to rapidly permute. So it's to say, well, this is a simple maze and I can get through it this way.
Yeah.
Is different from this is a complex maze and these are the ways we can try to work our way through the problem. So, I mean, what you and I and a team do is we force this through limits, disambiguation, serialization. So that's what we're doing. We're forcing people to move from justification
Yes.
to falsification to adversarialism. And what's adversarialism? It's permutations,
Yes.
right? So we're forcing that change, which is why we say, I mean, if you learn our stuff, it's going to give you a half to a standard deviation in demonstrated capacity, even with the same neurons. I mean, if you're useful in the first place, that is.
So there's this, you have processing speed and bandwidth is the breadth, yeah? Speed and breadth.
A breadth is breadth of traversal. Where are you looking at that?
Down. Yep.
Traversal. Speed, bandwidth, and breadth traversal. So that means how many things can you cover? Think of it as it's basically same thing as it's the same as water, electricity, right? If you think about how water, it's the way you learn electricity is it works just like water. There's a size of a pipe and amount of pressure going through it.
Yes.
And that's it. And it's that whole thing of, well, if you have a lot of channels, you have a narrow pipe there, you have to put a whole lot of pressure in to fill all these little rivulets, right? But if you have a big pipe, which means there's low friction, right? And you have a lot of pressure, which means a healthy brain, you have low resistance, and so more connectivity can result in all those little rivulets.
Yes.
The last piece is the one I try to say is modifiable, is that if you believe stupid things, right, it doesn't help, right? And one of the things we do is we eliminate the number of stupid things you believe.
Sacred cows. That's what I wanted to talk about. Sacred cows and sacred chaos.
All right, so let's
That's what we're talking about here.
Okay.
Because it's like the sacred cow is the intuitive error that
Yes.
that the people prefer to fall back on
Yes.
instead of processing the alternatives, which is the sacred cow is not sacred. That's just chaotic nonsense and wasting output.
So I should probably put my piece on intelligence here, put my.
Yes. I want you to eliminate that, two things, editorial.
Say that again?
Well, I have editorial comments, but you can, yes. And then get rid of that period on electricity.
Bye.
Thank you.
Oh, I see.
What?
Just thinking there are 4 dimensions of, I think this is we're doing a really good job here of offloading stuff that I thought would be harder to discuss later and easier to discuss. It's just easier to discuss here. Because you take all this stuff off the table, all these objections off the table, because, when we're measuring IQ, we're measuring at least 4 things, right? You're measuring the masculine feminine bias in the brain, which is verbal versus spatial,
Right.
empathizing versus verbal and empathizing and pictorial versus operational, verbal, no, systematizing, operational, and what did I say? Systematizing, operational is verbal. Oh, and modeling, 3D modeling. So, you're separating those. You've got that basic test there, and they tend to move up and down together. So there's just a bias, sex difference bias. The second thing you're doing is there's was it crystallized versus, why is my brain not working? Intelligence, crystallized, fluid, thank you. So the second thing is fluid intelligence. I should be writing this down, shouldn't I? So
Yes.
So sex differences. Fluid versus crystallized.
Yes.
So this is the stuff that's just your brain, right? And crystallized is what it's learned. And so likewise, they scale somewhat together. Then you have, so that should give you, this is IQ.
Yeah.
This is the bias, right? And this is IQ. And then you have general knowledge,
Yes.
right? And you have general knowledge, and you have training, which is just logic, really. Logic, which is basically, it's the tools of calculation, which is writing, reading, math,
Yes.
relation, systems,
Huh.
right? And
That system is so messed up, man.
that's why
It's like some kind of problem here.
my brain is doing one thing and while I'm typing another. Give me a hard time again.
Keeps me awake, Kurt.
Well, I'm glad I found a subconscious way of doing that.
It works. It's whatever works. It's like I got to keep my eye on that cursor very closely.
And then you have age,
Mm. Mm.
and then you have stupid shit you believe.
This is sacred cows.
I've been writing this same story. I've been telling this story since the 90s. It's
Nobody's
just,
listening. Who's listening?
you know,
There's a this is we're so rapidly approaching behavioral economics.
oh, I see, yes. Because you can, if you believe stupid shit, it's really hard to think about thinking, be smart.
Wait, especially if you're getting paid to think this stupid shit.
Yeah, it's just,
Sorry,
oh,
professors.
fuck.
Now, see, I think about that Sabina's little article on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I usually group these two together,
Yes.
right? But I mean, you just basically have your IQ. This is great. General knowledge will improve your demonstrated intelligence, right? So these things are demonstrated.
Yes.
These are existential,
There you go.
and these are demonstrated.
That's
Your
before
IQ,
alluring.
your IQ is an accurate freaking measure. Sorry, just what it is.
Make that Q per capital.
What?
Make the Q capital in IQ. Please. Thank you. I like this. Oh my.
Oh,
That's what I get paid for, man.
so this is demonstrated
Just
intelligence.
stupid shit you believe is funny, man.
It's just real. I mean, do
So
you
it's
want
that
you
will
want to
slow
see
you down.
what?
It's an inhibitor, right?
It's terrible.
So these are general knowledge and training are plus, and stupid shit you believe is minus.
Yes.
But really expensive to untrain you from the stupid shit you believe.
It's it's because the cognitive bias of loss aversion. And what's the other one? Um, cognitive bias.
Oh yeah.
Oh, let me ask this guy because he'll know better. What is the cognitive
You'll get it done fast.
bias where we I don't know why I can't pull this stuff up. Um, I'm so hard on myself. Oh yes, I should be able to immediately recall everything from every discipline I have mastered. No, I can't.
At any moment.
I can't. What is the cognitive bias where we avoid learning something that would cause us to pay a cost learning and adapting?
Hmm. That's a good question.
It's going to give me two of them at least. Status quo bias. That's what I was looking for. These are all the same.
Yes.
Loss of learning.
Which is that's your it's behavioral economics, write it in there.
Yep. All right. So, yeah, by the way, a lot of, like there's only what, four categories of cognitive bias.
Okay.
And, we tend to, our contribution is sex differences, right? That's our primary contribution, and we've known sex differences and facets of intelligence, but no facets of personality, but we haven't known the full scope of what that or the origination until we've added that in our work. So, but I mean, if you believe stupid shit, all right, you're going to double down on stupid shit.
I want you to make that bold.
What?
Status quo bias.
So, I think what I know what's his name is trying to do, Levin's trying to do. Levin's quite good. He's trying to get us to think about it in permutations,
Yes.
right? Which is quite good. And what we're trying to do is, I think if we've made this clear, is where's our little arrow? We're trying to force permutations. In other words, just as you're taught logic, right? You're taught logic in school, or logical systems. We're trying to teach you permutations. As, in other words, it's another change. It's just like justification is very similar to proof, is very similar to one way, right?
Yes. Yes.
Where what we try to do, and I use Napoleon as the example, we're trying to do is cause you to disambiguate a term into a series or a concept into a series, to consider it in the first principles, to determine
Yes.
limits, and to consider all possibilities within those limits. Right. And so we're trying to get you to, and if possible, we're trying to get you to think in first principles and the permutations of first principles that can be applied to the circumstance that can help you come out. So we're trying to systematize your ability to think in permutations, which means to make you smarter.
Yes.
I have that giggle must have meant something. I have no idea.
It's like trying to. No, that's what we're doing.
Okay.
That's what we're doing, and it's like whether or not you can accept it is your problem.
Exactly.
Because
So
we're forcing it. We're forcing it. We're inducing that change.
I would say,
The doubling down thing is useful. It's I don't know if it should be mentioned here, but it perhaps should, right?
yeah, I mean, it's I think that we're going to write. I think we're going to write this tomorrow,
Perfect.
and I might try to do these two tomorrow. So I think that's
So
where
let's
the
think
rest.
about this because we're trying to set it up. We're setting up the next section, right?
Correct.
And what's the next section is the once we achieve Vitruvianism, where are we primed to go?
I believe we go from here to language,
Okay. Okay.
measurement, and which is continuing measurement, then from
Okay.
language to physics.
Okay.
Right? I think that's right. I don't know why I have this one here. What is this one? Oh, this is the summary. And then we apply it to life behavior in the formal logic. Right. Yep.
Because it's going to be evolutionary computation, right?
All right. I mean, this thing's got it. This thing's got it right. I mean, how living organisms perceive process information to maintain homeostasis, right? Everything in the universe survives through cooperation in an act of evolutionary computation. I mean, that's what we're saying, right? And the evolutionary computation can be reduced to a set of first principles through which everything can be logically explained, of course, and even better, logically falsified.
Yes.
We can prevent false claims. I can't tell you how thrilled I am to feel like there is some shift. I mean, that thing with, from the lecture I talked about when we started, which was from Neil Turok, just made me feel really good because I feel like there's a window approaching where we can make these claims and they're not so hard. In other words, when I was starting this, I was hard to convince people of anything.
I understand.
But the window is moving to where we can talk about these things. And I gotta, again, I haven't thank you, and I thank you all the time, but fuck you if you think it's too much. Is that the moving me, working with me to move, however it happened, because I don't remember now,
Right?
to move to telling the physics first. I'm pretty sure it's you that convinced me that, right? It might have been my idea, but it was you that convinced. I mean, I think I proposed the problem to you, and you convinced me that this was a much easier story to tell. And that was profound. And so we're still reaping the benefits of that.
We're just getting ready to make it done.
Yep.
And that'll be great. I'm very pleased by the progress we're making too.
I am too. Tomorrow should be easy, because where are we? Because we're an embodiment.
That
Because
was a hard part. This was hard. The embodiment part was hard. Because I regard it as interesting because it changed the organization of the narrative
yes,
and it made it personal
yes,
and real
yes. It's not
and
as
unavoidable because it's like that's what's going on here. And it starts with a human being.
you're saying that it's okay. It's even better story this way because we're not starting with anything abstract. We're
That's
explaining
right.
the self to the self. Yeah. Well, it sure makes sense to me. I like it if people can understand it more easily, that's a good thing.
Yes.
You're right. Anyway, I liked this section. I found this to be incredibly rewarding.
Yes.
To go up and clean it up is going to be easy for us. In other words, to fill in these little,
Yes.
but having the whole logic of it out there and just clean, this is going to be easy. All right, brother.
Well, Kurt, I think it's time for me to make some suggestions to our friends that are
Do I
patient enough
stop
to have
this?
sat through all that.
I can stop the share so I can look you in the face. Okay,
Oh
great.
my, make my head a little bigger. And then I'm going to suggest that maybe it would be a good idea for you nice gentlemen, ladies, not in that order necessarily, but you could hit like and then subscribe and then the notification bell because you can't miss these. These are important.
Right.
And then you can leave some comments and look forward to meeting us again tomorrow.
Yes, we're gonna have fun tomorrow. I bet a lot of people want to watch tomorrow's.
That was a hint. That was like a spoiler alert, right?
Did I just start uploading these to Twitter as well?
I like that. I don't know. It doesn't matter because
I think it depends on what we're talking about.
They'll watch it or they won't watch it. It's okay.
Yeah. All right. Love you, man.
Thanks, Kurt, and I'll see you tomorrow.
We're gonna talk tonight because if you don't call me at night, I feel like I've missed out on some Brad time.
Okay.
I feel deprived. All right, talk to you later, man.
Adios.